Hello fellow mutants, welcome back to another video. And in this video, remember when I said I was going to might do a part 2 to the Arrow video that I did on Friday? Yeah, I'm doing it right now. So, the title of this article says, Arrow premiered 10 years ago today. I'm a few days late. When they meant 10 years ago today, they meant October 10th. So, yeah. And it's October 14th by the time I'm recording this. So, 4 days late by the time I'm recording this video. Anywho, Arrow premiered 10 years ago today, launching a multiverse of DC shows. Almost 11 years after being name-dropped on the series premiere of Smallville, the DC hero Green Arrow goes on his own TV series for the first time when Arrow premiered 10 years ago. The series launched on October 10th, 2012. Led by actors Stephen Amell as Oliver Queen, John Borman as Malcolm Merlyn, David Ramsey as John Diggle, and Willa Holland as Thea Queen. A few weeks later, an actor hired for a quick walk-on role would steal all of her scenes, and Emily Bett Rickards played Felicity Smoke, who became a fixture of the series for the rest of its 8 seasons run. I have to say, before I continue, speaking of Emily Bett Rickards, I met her at C2E2 2012. Kinda. I was in, cause I've been to C2E2 like from 2015 to 2020. And I'm so wanting to go back to C2E2 next year. I couldn't this year, but I want to go next year. So I was in the main hall, just looking at the vendors, bump into her. I apologize, I sorry. It's just say you're fine or something like that. Didn't realize until like 7-8 seconds later that was her. That was Emily Bett Rickards. That was Felicity Smoke. I didn't catch it because I'm so used to seeing her with blonde hair. Because in like most of the Arrowverse, Felicity Smoke has been a blonde hair girl, right? Emily had red hair. And I felt so dumb when I realized that I had the golden opportunity to say hi to her and potentially ask her to get a photo, like a selfie, for free. I was so mad. And I didn't want to like chase her because I didn't want to like, guess that would be weird. One, if I like chased her saying, "Hey, I'm a big fan," and two, I didn't want to like come off as like a weirdo to her. So I just said, okay, I just hope I bump into her again. I hope I have another chance, because I fucked up this chance. Never had the chance. And I felt really dumb afterwards. But that's my Arrow story. Tackled onto this Arrow article. So, long story short, don't be like me. Don't be like me and be a airhead. Anywho, in the series, Oliver Queen is a billionaire playboy who is cheating on his girlfriend Laurel, who played by Katie Cassidy, with her sister Sarah, Jacqueline McLean's Woods. That must be the original actress. Because later on, and when I mean later on, I mean literally in the next season, they recasted Sarah for Katie Lotz. So, yeah, they're like technically 2 different Sarah Lance's actresses in Arrow. So, yeah. Anywho, Oliver go on a crusade with Oliver's dad on his family yacht. Oh, they talk about Sarah and Oliver. will go on the cruise on Oliver's dad's yacht. Oliver's dad on the family yacht. There you go. It's like in English. Only for the ship to be wrecked. In their final moments together on a lifeboat, Oliver's father, who played by Jamie Sheridan, confesses on a litany of sins before taking his own life to save his sons. Reaching shore all alone, with his father dead and Sarah presumed dead, Oliver finds himself stranded on the island of Lian Yu and forced to learn to live off the land. Luckily or unluckily, honestly, it's really hard to say. Oliver isn't alone on the island. A young woman named Shadow takes him under her wing, and with the help of her father Yao Fei, Gulong, who was played by Byron Mann, they teach Oliver archery and self-defense, unknowingly preparing him to be the spark that lights a flame no one could possibly have imagined. After Oliver returned to Starling City, which later gets named to Star City, he became the Hood. Hooded vigilante working his way to kill working his way down a kill list made up of his corrupt father's old business contacts. Yet his superhero identity needed some workshopping. So it seems like they're just going back and recapping. So the season, which I'm liking. Anyways, let's continue. In the first season, Oliver's friend Tommy Merlin, played by Colin Donnell, was established, as well as his ally turned nemesis Slade Wilson, Manny Bennett. It was Slade whose miracle formula, think a super soldier serum will make you go crazy, first introduced the idea of enhanced humans into the world of Arrow. Slade getting a mirror crew didn't happen until season 2, was like one of the best seasons ever. Slade and his miracle army would be far from the last bros of his extraordinary for Oliver during the show's second season. Oliver met Central City Police scientist Barry Allen, who was played by Grant Gustin. Barry was briefly a rival for Felicity's affection, but ultimately became a close friend to Oliver and his team, and even gave Oliver his first mask, so the vigilante could occasionally let his hood down. Of course, Barry would be struck by lightning shortly after the first meeting, and by the time Oliver met up with him again, Barry had become the Flash, the fastest man alive. Which, the Flash debuted on October 7th of 2014. And it says, but not the last spin-off from Arrow. And it says the massive popularity of the two, and the long shadow casted by the decade of Smallville, transformed the face of the CW. Along the long-running Supernatural, Arrow, and The Flash made the network. And some other shows that I'm not going to mention because I don't see the relevance. But you guys can see this as I pin this comment for you guys. The Flash became the highest rated show on the CW, and it was impossible to ignore how well Arrow did in the ratings whenever it featured the appearance by familiar DC comic faces. So not only did the CW decide to take the two shows needed to establish regular crossovers, but they would always be expanding the universe of the shows, looking for more potential spin-offs. And it did. But like 4 different spin-offs. After a year of The Flash, Arrow's executive producer Greg Berlanti was tapped by CW to work on his superhero magic on a massive stage, bring Supergirl to one of the biggest 3 U.S. networks on July 8th, 2015. Fans immediately wondered whether Supergirl was not only aired on a different network, but also filming in Los Angeles, as opposed to Vancouver, British Columbia, where Arrow and the Flash were shot, would cross over in the CW shows. But producers dismissed the idea at first. Besides, the CW had bigger fish to fry. But in the first season, I don't know if they're going to. I hate my laptop now. It's like the screen goes off like randomly for some reason. Anywho, I was going to say before my laptop interrupted me, the the Flash did make a cameo in the first season of Supergirl, which opened the possibility for the crossover that they will have in season 3 of, or season 2 of Flash, season 3 of Arrow. Anywho. Or maybe I'm thinking of season 4 of Arrow. I'm getting my seasons mixed up now. Anywho, a number of characters discarded the Arrow and Flash, including Sarah Lance, now played by Katie Lotz, Captain Cold and Heatwave, Person Breaks stars Wentworth Miller and Dominic Purcell, and Firestar, Victor Garber got their own spin-off in their form of DC Legends of Tomorrow, gathered together by Time Master Rip Hunter, Arthur Darvill, which I love seeing Arthur Darvill, because the last thing I saw Arthur Darvill in was him being Rory. I think his last name was Williams in Arrow. I mean, not Arrow, Doctor Who. The ragtag team of heroes who was called together to save the lives of Hawkman, Folk Henskell, and Hawkgirl, Sierra Renee, and defeat a immortal tyrant Fendo Stavis, Casper Crump. The show debuted in January 2016, while Supergirl was struggling to keep the ratings of that the CBS wanted. By March of that year, Brilliancy Productions, who produced all 5 seasons, pulled the trigger on the multiverse-spanning crossover between The Flash and Supergirl, who served 2 purposes. It aimed to save Supergirl on CBS, but failing it, and would explicitly make Supergirl part of the shared universe colloquially referred to as the Arrowverse. Now later on, they did bring Supergirl back to Arrow and the CW. I don't know why they didn't do that, but I'm going to just blow past this a bit, because the next season, the next paragraph just says that pretty much in 2018, Black Lightning was added, and that in 2018, Kate Kane Batwoman was introduced in the Elseworlds crossover event, which also tied into the Arrow, Flash, and the Supergirl. And later on, I believe like a year or the following year later, Batwoman was a thing. Was Batwoman? That's always a hot mess. So it says it adapts, and then it says reference Crisis. I'll read this. An adaptation of the 12th issue Masquerades of the same name, Crisis on Infinite Earths tied all 6 of the Brilliancy shows together, allowing Black Lightning heroes to meet the Flash, Superman, and more. It also incorporated elements and characters that non-CW, non-Arrowverse shows, like the HBO Max Titans, Doom Patrol, and Swamp Thing. And DC's, and also like had like if you caught it, they did also have Stargirl in there. Yes, I'm referring to the TV show Stargirl. They also had the beginning of Crisis on Infinite Earths was so cool. I liked it with all the little cameos that we got. My favorite one has to be the guy who played Robin in the Adam West Batman. He was just walking his dog, and he saw that his road was going to disappear. He said, "Great Scott!" And I was like, yes, that was seriously my favorite cameo until they got Kevin Conroy. I'm sorry. Anywho, let's continue. I don't know, I'm spending too much time with this. DC movies and shows from the past, from like 1966 Batman to, which I just mentioned, with Robin, to 2005 Superman Returns and even Smallville. And says by 2019, when Crisis was airing, Arrow star Stephen Amell had decided to move on from his role as Oliver Queen, and Arrow was coming to an end. In the movie that was strange, it was fitting. In a move that was strange as it was fitting. Oliver didn't die facing off Ra's al Ghul, who was defeated in season 3, or Prometheus, who was in season 5, but with the shadow demons led by the Anti-Monitor. He came back as the Spectre, playing an instrumental role in saving the multiverse from destruction and giving up his life to set Earth Prime. A new world that incorporated Supergirl's Earth 38 and the world where Black Lightning took place into the main line Arrowverse continuity on the right path. So they had the Arrowverse shows, like the main, like Black Lightning, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman, Black Lightning, The Flash, and they had them all on Earth 1, or Earth Prime, on the same Earth. While before, Supergirl was on Earth 38, and Black Lightning was also on a different Earth. So they, like, tied it together, pretty much. I kind of dug that, because, why not? I actually did dig having all our heroes on the same Earth. Anyways. Arrow was more than just a breeding ground for crossovers. The series gave us fans what many argue is the best live-action interpretation of Deathstroke, a fan-favorite villain who became who has shown up in the movies and on Titans. It made Ra's al Ghul a villain who had ties to the whole DC universe rather than just Batman. It gave Vigilante, and later seen in Peacemaker, his live-action debut. Vigilante was in Arrow, and successfully pulled off one of the best surprise twists in the history of a live-action show with a Prometheus reveal, which led to arguably the best cliffhanger in the genre at the end of Arrow Season 5. Arrow Season 5? Oh, right, because Arrow Season 5, after Team Arrow defeats Prometheus, Lian Yu blows the because of Prometheus dying, the Lian Yu gets blown up, which was a thing, which was a key story point within like the first, I want to say 5-6 episodes of Arrow Season 6. So yeah, I remember what I mean now. With Legends of Tomorrow and Arrow's 8th season. Legends of Tomorrow didn't have 8 seasons, I don't believe. Anywho, with Legends of Tomorrow, Arrow's 8th season, the show set the stage for the future generation of DC heroes, and throughout the Arrowverse, marginalized groups who didn't usually see themselves represented in superhero media found a voice. Okay, so they pulled that card, okay. Anyways. And honestly, after Arrow ended, the Arrowverse was never quite the same. Crisis on Infinite Earths was kind of a series finale, or at least the big climax, and that's true. Like, Crisis on Infinite Earths, out of all the Arrowverse crossovers, was the biggest in scale, biggest in cameos, and I admit, it made me nerd out quite a bit. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it made me nerd out. After Arrow wrapped up, the CW planned to bring back a number of its supporting characters in Green Arrow and the Canaries, a show that would be set in the future and feature Mia Smoke, who was played by Catherine McNamara, the daughter of Oliver Queen and Felicity Smoke, as a new Green Arrow, a role she took on in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they even had a backdoor pilot in Arrow, which they actually say in the next film, but it failed to move forward to the network. I have to say, I would have honestly tuned in for that. I still want the Green Arrow and the Canaries. I bet would have been a whole lot better than Batwoman. But yes, I would have been a fan seeing Green Arrow of the Canaries. That's just me. I'm kind of sad that didn't come to pass. But with the ratings across the board dipping at the CW's ownership beginning to look at the potential buyer becomes more and more facility confers as I can't read conservatives. Supergirl ended with along with Black Lightning. Well, Supergirl did end. Black Lightning was canceled. Fans wonder whether the Arrowverse itself will be gone soon enough. The CW will offset the concerns by rolling out Superman and Lois, which drew huge ratings and great reviews. Superman and Lois, I'd say, is the best Arrowverse show that's currently going on. I'm liking it. But 2022 would shake things up in a big way. In May 2022, the CW canceled both Batwoman and DC's Legends of Tomorrow, which I was kind of sad when Legends of Tomorrow got canceled immediately. Because even though I can admit that show is cheesy as hell, and probably not one of the best Arrowverse shows, I still enjoyed it, and I do believe that DC's Legends of Tomorrow should have its last season. I'm sorry to any of you guys who hate DC's Legends of Tomorrow. I enjoyed it. I liked how they did not take themselves seriously. That was one of the things that was a key factor of me enjoying that show. I'm sorry. Anywho. And in June, Superman and Lois revealed in a throwaway line that the series does not actually take place on Earth Prime, but that the hero seen on Supergirl and in Crisis on Infinite Earths was actually a different version of the Man of Steel. I do hope to see Supergirl again, because the advantage of having be on a different Earth, they can introduce Supergirl, whether it's the same actress who played her in the Supergirl show or a different actress. It would be a new Supergirl, and I would so like to see that. I would so love to see what this Supergirl would be like. This first of Supergirl and Superman and Lois, how would she be? And how would she be different from the Earth Prime Supergirl? I would be able to see that. Anywho. Arrow had its ups and downs. Now we're finally getting to Arrow after a few 4 or 5 paragraphs. Anywho, Arrow had its ups and downs, but remained popular throughout and sparked a shared universe of superhero storytelling that will be difficult to match. With about 450 hours of TV created so far, not including Superman and Lois or the final season of The Flash, what started as a show about a guy with a bow and arrow eventually spiraled out to become a massive world filled with dozens of superheroes and villains, many of whom had never seen in live action before. Arrow changed the way superheroes are viewed on TV and popularized characters like Felicity Smoke and Wild Dog, who had been essentially afterthoughts of the comics for years. I thought Felicity Smoke was created just for Arrow. I thought I knew Wild Dog was a thing. I heard the name Wild Dog in DC comics, but I thought Felicity Smoke was created specifically for Arrow. Am I wrong about that? Let me know. And it's been the stage of the largest scale superhero crossover DC is ever likely to produce in live action. Gee, so oh yeah, it says it did say Arrowverse premiered 10 years ago, launching the multiverse of DC shows. So yeah, it did cover the multiverse a bit. I enjoyed this article. I do like how they gave some love to each show. And yeah, I have to agree that Arrow, even though it might have not intended to like launch a universe of its own, it did launch one of the most successful universes that I've seen, and I enjoyed that, and I can respect that. And Arrow, like, I'll always be grateful to the show Arrow, not because it launched a multiverse, but because it gave me, like, when it was on, it gave me something to look forward to, and it heavily inspired one of my cosplays. Like, I have a archery cosplay that was inspired by the Green Arrow, but but now the Green Arrow is his own thing. But like, the look of my archery cosplay was heavily inspired by Green Arrow, and yes, I'm a cosplayer. But also, it allowed me to like get introduced to some characters that I probably wouldn't have been introduced to, or at least as soon as I did. And I'll always be grateful to Arrow and the Arrowverse, and for that. And like, it also got me excited, like more excited when I played Injustice 1 and 2, because if you guys been following my channel, you guys will have seen that I've streamed Injustice Gods Among Us and Injustice 2. And mainly the Arrowverse made me more excited to play some of the characters in both Injustice games, because I was introduced to them in the Arrowverse, and of course later on, like I already knew all of them, some of them from like the Justice League cartoon, Justice League Limited, Batman the anime series, Batman Beyond. I knew like few from like previous movies, shows, my point. And it introduced me to some new ones too, and I always respect the Arrowverse for that. Regardless of how like you guys feel about the Arrowverse, I'll always respect the Arrowverse for that. And even though I'm might not be a fan of all the Arrowverse shows, like Batwoman, for example, I'll always appreciate the Arrowverse, and can't wait to see how I'm actually intrigued in see how the Flash ends. I do, like I said earlier, I do hope that I would have liked to have seen the Green Arrow and the Canary show, because I think that show could have had a lot of potential. Green Arrow and the Canaries. But yeah, I can't believe it's been 10 years. 10 years, 4 days, by the time I'm recording this. Of the Arrowverse essentially started. And, it's really great. Arrow's my favorite Arrowverse show, to be honest. And, yeah, and Stephen Amell's my favorite Green Arrow. I'm sorry. Anyways, what do you guys think of this article? What's your favorite Arrowverse show? Let me know in the comments section down below. Love you guys. Wonderful day. Be kind to one another. And I will talk to you later. Later, mutants.